A beautiful free kick that caught the goalkeeper unawares and also scored off of a corner kick as well from the near sideline. And Steve, it was one that was originally ruled to be a own goal off of Stanford, but after looking at the rule book, they said no, that's a goal for Chambrón-Pino, and he picks up his first career brace in that match.
And Kevin Hudson, the Mustangs head coach, has said basically ever since Kieran Chambrón-Pino walked on campus 4 years ago that this guy can score from anywhere. He is an elite talent. He can strike the ball in ways that very few other players can, and he scored 2 gorgeous goals. One was a little unlucky for the Stanford defense, but he puts the ball into places that a lot of people cannot, and it was nice to see him get rewarded with a pair of goals.
Absolutely it was. As the SMU Mustangs look to control the possession early, SMU has never lost against Central Arkansas. In fact, Central Arkansas has only scored 1 goal all time against this team. And that one went over the sideline. However, there was a foul before then on Central Arkansas that took down Kieran Pino.
Yeah, it looked for a moment like the officials were going to let the Mustangs play the advantage, but turned out that's not their approach.
Two minutes gone in the match. It was an early season matchup between the two last year, the second game of the year, and a 5-0 result in favor of the SMU Mustangs. Jeldrick Dahlman had a hat trick in that matchup, and also the first career goal for Neve Berkovitz in that game as well. Central Arkansas looking for a better result today and see what they can do to possess the ball against SMU. They would love to be a more possession-rich team, and they felt like they moved the ball pretty well last time out against Jacksonville. Even for most of the second half of that match, they were down to 10 men after a red card that was issued against Franco Di Giovanni.
Yeah, and head coach Frank Kohlenstein was actually very pleased with the way his team responded. Obviously, it's hard enough to beat an opponent when you've got your full allotment of 11 players, and when you go down a man, it's exceedingly difficult. But he said that he thought that red card kind of gave his team a lift, a little jolt of urgency and energy, and he was, while disappointed with the final score, of course, he was impressed and proud of his team and the way they responded to that adversity of going down a man.
Weren't quite able to get the equalizer, but one thing they did do is they didn't give up a shot in those final 35 minutes, or excuse me, about 30 minutes after that red card.
Right, and again, think how hard it is to hold a team without a shot when you have a full 11. To do it with going 10 on 11 is a really remarkable defensive effort. And you know, talking to Coach a couple days ago, I asked him about the defensive performance of his team, and he was very quick to point to the last matchup between his team and SMU a year ago when the Bears came to Dallas and they lost 5-0. And he said, last year when we were at SMU, we got roasted. There's no way to sugarcoat 5 goals. But he said his team has played much better defensively this year. He said his guys take pride in being defenders first, and he compared it to so many defenders that around the country who kind of think they want to be midfielders and get forward into the offensive third when they can. And he said his guys take pride in defending, keeping the ball out of their own net, and then if you can do other things, great. But he's been very, very impressed with the way his defense has improved this year.
Central Arkansas, because of that success late, even though they didn't put up a goal, they had Fontana up front with Devontae Richards, and they think that could give them some success in that final third against teams over the course of the rest of this season. We'll see how long they use it, but normally they use Fontana kind of the lone striker up front. Instead, now Fontana will be playing next to him.
Frank Kohlenstein calls Fontana a fox in the box, and by that he means he can get the ball in the 18 even when he's being swarmed by multiple defenders, and he can hold possession. He always seems to have a feel for where the goal is, even if he has his back to the net. And he's able to find lanes and either find teammates with passes or get shots away. Fontana's very dangerous.
Fontana's dangerous, so is Neve Berkovich. It just dribbles away from him. He had a great opportunity if he was able to keep it on that right foot to try to drill one. But yeah, Fontana, the fox in the box, and Devontae Richards, who leads the team with 5 assists this season and leads the team in points as well. They're hoping Central Arkansas can be a little bit more dangerous offensively. 15 goals this season through 11 matches. For SMU in pregame, you were talking about Cesar Ruvalcaba and his great throw-ins. He'll have a chance to have one here.
Yeah, and you'll see right there, he's got this long whipping motion. He's a tall guy with long arms, and he can snap that ball well into the box. It's obviously not going to have quite the distance of a good corner kick.
And Ruvalcaba gets it to go off the ground. Instead, it was loose in the box after his throw-in, popped right back to him, and he slots it to the back post past Javier Ramirez. It's an opener for Ruvalcaba as an SMU Mustangs, and the Mustangs lead it 1-0.
We're talking about the wrong part of his game. Here we are going on and on about his throw-ins. He runs onto that ball and tucks a beautiful left-footed shot. I think, I've got to believe Ramirez was perhaps partly screened on that because he didn't move right away until the ball was almost past him. And beautiful accuracy on that shot by Ruvalcaba, and you see the big smile on the defender's face. That's like a big man getting to dribble in basketball. Anytime a defender gets to shoot and score, that's a defender's dream right there. Beautiful shot by Ruvalcaba to put his team up a goal.
It's his first Division I goal. He's a transfer from Cal Poly Pomona, a great D2 program where he was an All-American both last year and in 2022. He scored 3 goals last season for Cal Poly Pomona, but none yet at this level and no points until that moment. And SMU takes the advantage, 1-0. They give the assist to Niko Djordjevic, and SMU is off and running. Can Central Arkansas square it up? But Devontae Richards is unable to send it out in front.
And Richards unable to wrap that ball into the middle exactly because of the matchup we discussed in pregame. We talked about Ruvalcaba and we talked about Richards and the fact that they very well might spend some time chasing each other around. And Ruvalcaba, just seconds after scoring his first goal, closed a lot of ground in a hurry and forced Richards to send that ball wide of the net, setting up a goal kick for SMU.
Tough to do on Richards, who is fast in his own right. A little bit of pressure for Central Arkansas, and Coach Kohlenstein told us to expect this. They want to be pressure-packed both when they have the ball and when they don't.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the strategy behind that is clear. You want to force your opponents into errors, and you know, to say that the Bears are pressing now is absurd. We're just barely get started in this game. There's loads of time to get the equalizer. But if you can force an unforced error by the opposing defense and set up a good shot, you might be able to tie this thing up in a hurry.
Bailey Sparks, with one of his first touches for SMU, tries to slot a ball right up the middle, and it falls to Berkovich. He has it played away from him, and Central Arkansas is able to turn it away. The Bears 5-5-1 on the season, 2-2 in the ASUN. They were picked 5th in the ASUN this year. Right now they stand in 4th with 3 matches to go in the regular season, including a match Saturday at Stetson as well. That's a big one for the Bears because Stetson right now is up on top of the ASUN. That was a really nice pass to Berkovich. He just couldn't hold it.
Yeah, Frank Kohlenstein and his staff are not going to let their players obviously look past the number 10 team in the country. But the Stetson game is really important. If you can go down to Florida and knock off the conference leaders, that can really change up the standings in that conference. So while tonight is an enormous opportunity for the Bears, you could argue that the Stetson game is more important to the program.
UCA, Frank Kohlenstein's team right now with 6 points. That is 3rd best in the conference behind Stetson, as we mentioned, with 10 points in North Florida with 7. Meanwhile, for the SMU Mustangs, who come in as the number 10 team in the nation right now, half of the top 10 in front of them, or the top 9 in front of them, are also ACC teams, which is just a ridiculous embarrassment of riches for the Atlantic Coast Conference.
It really is. When the announcement was made that SMU was going to be joining the Atlantic Coast Conference, I had an opportunity to speak with Coach Hudson, and I asked him, what does this look like for you and your program on the men's soccer side of things? And he took a very deep breath and he said, most of the year last year, the ACC had 10 or 11 teams in the top 25. He described it as a murderer's row. There is no such thing as a game you can look at on that schedule and say, oh yeah, we'll win that one.
And then you add Stanford to the mix.
And then Cal.
And then Cal, who is starting to play a little bit better as well. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that the ACC puts a bunch of teams into the NCAA tournament every year. It is not hyperbole at all to say this is the premier soccer conference in the country.
Right now, SMU in 6th in the league standings. You got a three-way tie for first at this point. Pitt, Stanford, and Clemson. Now, Pitt has a game in hand on Stanford and Clemson. They all have 12 points at this point out at the top of the standings. In addition to that, North Carolina right behind. They have picked up 10 points so far. You got Duke right after that. They've got 9 points, and then SMU with 8 points. Right there in the mix for a first-round home game in the conference tournament if things were to stay the way they are right now as they are ranked 6th.
And behind SMU, you've got Virginia and Wake Forest and Notre Dame and Syracuse. I mean, this is ridiculous. Think of what you just said. 10th in the country is only good for 6th in the conference?
It's pretty nuts.
That's unheard of.
ACC, because that's what it's like. An opening by Cesar Ruvalcaba. He's got the ball right now at center back. He had come in to make a long throw in the final third and then just had a ball fall right to him in the 18. Deposited it for his first goal as an SMU Mustang. Now the Mustangs move forward with Bailey Sparks making a move in the middle. Sparks dumping it off to Danny Escorcia. Right back to Sparks again. Outside for Kieran Pino coming off his 2-goal performance. Escorcia looking to get it to Pino again. This it back for Brock Pope, playing in an advanced position. Oh, beautiful pass to Bailey Sparks. Leans into one, and a beautiful save is made by Ramirez on a hot shot by Bailey Sparks.
Hot is right. Ramirez made a heck of a save there, getting over to his left and laying out to block that shot. You think of Bailey Sparks and all that he does with his technical skill and his speed and his possession, but you'd be remiss if you didn't also mention the fact that he can absolutely crush a shot, and he leans into this, and that ball had some heat on.
It really did, and for Bailey Sparks, he just hasn't had a lot of opportunities to score in the run of play this season. He's got 5 goals, but 4 of them have come by penalty kick. He's second in the nation in PKs, only 1 behind the leader now, but Sparks plenty capable of putting the ball in the back of the net in the run of play, and he was very, very close to doing so there.
Well, part of that is he's also playing in a more defensive position this year. He's been sitting a little deeper.
And think about that, he's playing in a defensive position, but I just want to emphasize his stats, 5 goals and 6 assists.
Well, right. He also covers more mileage than just about anybody on the team, maybe more than everybody on the team. But he's often back there helping the defenders break the ball out of the back end and transition through that middle third. So he's obviously more than capable of getting his shots when he gets up into the offensive third, but he's starting from a deeper position than he was in years past.
Martin Dominguez now starting his 8th game as the lead keeper for SMU. He's got 2 shutouts on the season. Made 3 saves in the matchup against Stanford. 2-2 match, and he hasn't lost a match so far. He's 4-0-3. As Pino runs onto this one and sends it over to Brock Pope. How have you felt about Martin Dominguez since kind of, at least to those on the outside of the program, surprisingly getting that start at Cal and what he's done since?
Well, he has the 2 features that I would think that I consider most important. 1, he has very good hands, and 2, he is completely fearless. And, you know, Kevin Hudson and his goalie coach, Jaime Ibarra, have talked about how even at very, very close range, he doesn't think for even a second about hesitating when someone winds up to crank a shot from close range. You know, he's a smart player. He's positionally very sound. But more than anything, he's got good hands, and he's afraid of nothing, which you have to be a goalie. I mean, obviously, it's not like you're a hockey goalie and you have pads covering every inch of your body. These guys throw themselves in the line of fire and sometimes end up, you know, taking shots in the head or elsewhere. And he has done a really nice job since he has stepped between the pipes for SMU.
Yeah, earlier in a match this month, he ended up kind of getting stepped on and it ended up bleeding on the field, had to get some stitches afterward. Nice ball in the direction of Lopez. He has to chase it down. Lopez turning in the corner. The striker gets it back for Escorcia. Looking to distribute. He finds Salvo joining the action. Now here's Sparks again. Of course, attracting attention as two shadow him. Sends it out to Zarnik. SMU not afraid to really advance the defenders forward in this matchup, but Central Arkansas gets the important takeaway, and Javier Ramirez punts it down the field. In the direction of Pietro Fontana, the Fox in the box, 12 goals last season. Little trading paint here and a play on, but the drive is just wide to the left by Soma Ichikawa. Ichikawa starting at the left wing-back position today for Central Arkansas.
Beautiful shot by Ichikawa, in part because he absorbed a shoulder charge from a guy significantly bigger than he is, but most of the people who end up marking him are bigger than he is. And Coach Kohlenstein was talking about how he's not only a smart player who gets into the right positions to receive passes and get through traffic, but he also doesn't take a lot of direct hits, which is significant when everybody covering you has a distinct size advantage. Ichikawa is a very smart, very tough player who's able to play a lot of minutes.
SMU is there defensively against Fontana. Ichikawa, by the way, as this one gets away from Zarnik, and it's pounced on by Martin Dominguez. 2 goals and 3 assists this season, primarily as an outside back for Central Arkansas. And Cesar Ruvalcaba on the board for SMU. Long ball trying to force it deep into Bears territory and maybe even pick up a throw, but instead, Central Arkansas allows it to head out. Edgar Correa, a junior from Portugal, with the throw in.
You see Richards able to fight through a couple of Mustangs to keep possession.
Oh, look at Brock Pope coming away with a steal. Pope against Richards. And Richards, was he the last to knock it out, or was Pope? It is a corner for SMU.
You're right, and look, Brock Pope can really run, and when Pope took the ball away, Richards closed the gap in about 3 steps, went around Pope and knocked it out of bounds. We talked in the pregame. About not only is he a big guy, but his speed is remarkable. We saw a very good example of it there, because that's not a slow player that he caught from behind.
Wind starting to kick up a bit. It's blowing out, away from the keeper. Chambron Pino ready to strike it. By the way, for Brock Pope, he used to be a conference mate of Central Arkansas while he was at Bellarmine, and has scored goals in each of his last 2 matches against UCA. Here's Pino's serve. On the outswinger, it is headed away and backed up by Djordjevic. Punches it back to the top of the 18. And Salvo tries to feed it off into the corner to Bailey Sparks. Sparks knocks it out. So an aggressive SMU team, 19 minutes in, able to put up the first goal. They have 2 shots to the 1 of Central Arkansas. UCA has committed 4 fouls, SMU 1. No cards so far. We just saw our first corner of the evening. With Steve Lansdale and our entire ESPN crew, I'm John Little. For SMU, they've got just 1 home game in the regular season remaining. That's going to be against Wake Forest on Friday the 25th After this one, they go back into ACC play. Going to number 23 NC State. That is a Saturday matchup this week. And they wrap up the regular season at Louisville, going to Kentucky for a 6 o'clock affair Central Time on the 1st of November. Good defensive play made by Central Arkansas to whisk that away by Correa. And here comes Brunet. Brunet in on the left. Can't get past Djordjevic, though. Djordjevic able to hold him off, or rather it's Salvo. Excuse me, able to hold him off. A great defensive play by this defensive midfielder who quietly is one of the best players in the conference at his position.
He really is, and he's one of those guys that if you don't watch SMU very often, you may not notice. And he's also one of those guys that the coaches definitely notice. You know, he took over the starting role last year. He's so steady, unflashy is an understatement. I mean, he never draws attention, but he chases relentlessly. He gets and keeps possession for the Mustangs and is critical to them getting through that middle third in transition.
Wow, what a pass to Djordjevic. Djordjevic in at the top of the box, stepping on it, onto the right foot, still carrying it, sliding toward the goal, and it is cleared away.
That absolutely was a gorgeous pass. I think Djordjevic, if he had a chance to do it over again, might have pulled the trigger a little more quickly. He was trying to tee up a perfect shot, but the way that ball was threaded through the defense set up a gorgeous opportunity for him.
SMU trying to get up 2-0. Is that after a yellow card against Stanford in the second half last Friday, he is now at 4 yellows. If he picks up that 5th yellow card, he will have to miss a game.
Yeah, and yes, you can rest assured he is definitely aware of it, and the coaches are definitely aware as well. Look, I mean, this isn't the first SMU game we've done, and when we talk to opposing coaches about scouting reports and we ask about the matchup they face, almost every single time the first name mentioned is Bailey Sparks.
Every time.
There's no secret what he means to this SMU team, and everybody knows it. And his technical skill is such that you might be fooled into thinking that he's not a physical player. Not true. Bailey Sparks is a strong physical player who, well, he's been caught 4 times at least so far this season. And I don't think he's the type who will take his foot off the gas in order to protect himself from that 5th yellow card. But he's a smart player, and he is certainly aware of it. And to your point, obviously the Mustangs are very hopeful that he won't get one.
He's definitely got that wiry strength. He knows how to use that body positioning to get where he wants to go. SMU up 1-0 on the Ruvalcaba goal. Center back on it now after scoring his first SMU goal and the 4th of his collegiate career. Given a lot of room to step up, and he'll try to feed a ball deep up the middle of the field, and he dots it right to Lopez. Leaves it back for Escorcia. SMU spread out. Goes out to Pino. The serve in front, the header just a little bit wide as Lopez got it back and misses the near post by a slim margin.
This cross by Shomron Pino is harder than it looks because as the ball was played to him, a defender got a toe on it just enough to deflect it and make Pino change his stride just a hair, and he still hit it on a one-time serve. And if it had been 6 inches farther forward, Milton buries that in the back of the net. Gorgeous play by Shomron Pino, and unfortunate for the Mustangs that they weren't able to double their lead.
I keep saying it, but I mean it now. The wind really picking up as well here. And so that is going to be advantage in the first half to Central Arkansas. And how do you think that the Bears, knowing that, might play this first half differently, just seeing that the wind's gusting out of the north at 25 miles?
Possession style, keeping the ball on the ground. But from Central Arkansas's standpoint, this is a situation where if you think you can get, you have speed guys like Richards up front, if you think you can send long balls up and over the top or even through the SMU defense, you may see the Bears start launching some longer passes, trying to pick up, you know, in football they call them chunk plays, right? Where you can go 20, 30 yards downfield. Well, the soccer version of that is launch it up into this jet stream and see if somebody like Devontae Richards can outrun the SMU defense to get to it.
I think you just saw that from Ramirez, the keeper for Central Arkansas, and you see all the real estate that Central Arkansas has picked up after the foul on Chambron Pina. So Central Arkansas with the restart here from around 45, 50 yards out. Hopped over the top and cleared away solidly by the center back, Rubalcaba.
I think he got his feet tied up a little bit. I think given an opportunity to do that over, he might have opted for the left foot where he could have directed it further upfield. But when there's a...
it also ends up in a corner. Oh, no, it was very near the corner. Excuse me. I thought they were about to pick it up.
Right, but by playing it with his right foot, it was curling toward that corner flag. It was very close.
And, of course, the wind is blowing that way as well. Another chance for UCA, and right in on the keeper, Martin Dominguez.
And that is another area when you talk about how this wind can impact the UCA offense. If the Bears are able to get corner kicks, and if they have players who can serve the ball with a considerable spin, then you run the risk of basically shots on goal as corners because they can play the ball into the middle with a heavy spin and let the wind just carry it on the cage. So Martin Dominguez in the SMU defense has to be very, very careful if they give up any corners while they're facing into this wind.
Now, while it's not going to feel cold tonight, it's only going to get down to about 70 by the end of the match. It's the wind that precedes the cold air that will affect this match tonight, next to last home game for SMU.
I'm glad you said it's going to get down to about 70 because early in the game, or in the pregame, you referred to it as a cold front. And I'm just imagining our ACC fans in places like Syracuse and Pittsburgh and hearing the term cold front on a night that might get down into the 70s. Texas has a little different view of cold fronts than many of the schools in this conference.
Well, I'm told by a meteorologist that there is no such thing as a cool front, that it's either a cold
that's
front.
Fair.
That's all it is.
Yeah. All right.
And so just technically, it is a cold front. Now, it can be a weak cold front. It can be a strong cold front. This is a rather strong cold front when you go from, 90 degrees today, and it might not even reach 70 tomorrow. So significant.
Oh, that'll be glorious.
SMU trying to advance it. 17.5 left in the opening half. Owen Zarnik, head up, looking for Georgievich. Central Arkansas giving up the 1 goal so far, and 3 shots, 2 of them on goal by SMU tonight. Frank Kohlenstein, the 4th-year head coach of Central Arkansas. What a fun guy to talk to. He was the ASUN Coach of the Year in 2022, but a long-time coach. We're talking about Colorado School of Mines, where he went to the postseason 17 of 19 years and is the winningest coach there. He's also the first women's coach at Mines for 5 years. For 10 years, he was at South Carolina Spartanburg as the head coach from 1979 to 1988, and at Charlotte for 6 years as well, and led them to a national ranking in 1992. He has forgotten more about the game than either of us will ever know.
When he was at South Carolina Spartansburg, he had a player named Bobrick Palangian.
Ah, yes.
Whose son Alec now plays on the Central Arkansas team. And talking to Coach Kohlenstein about that, he said, yeah, it's a nice little human interest nugget. But then he got serious and said, that's an enormous compliment. Yes, the stories have been exaggerated. So if we used to make his dad run 2 miles, those stories are now 10-mile runs. But think what an honor and what a sign of respect that is. If you played for a guy and you thought so highly of him that you would invite your son to go play for him as well, Coach Kohlenstein took that as a huge honor.
That's a great point. What a solid man he is. Kohlenstein taking over for UCA kind of surprisingly. He was in a consultant's role at UCA under Ross Duncan since 2017, and then Reigns kind of just surprisingly got turned over to him, and he said, all right, okay, I'll do it.
Sure.
As SMU goes into the bench for the first time, Berkovitz, Lopez, Scorsia all coming out. Those are a couple of attacking midfielders, and the central forward for SMU. As Jalen Mitchell comes on for the first time, along with Enzo Pinozo. Brock Pope heads it out for the SMU Mustangs. Also for Central Arkansas, they bring in Alex Kiss for the first time for Fontana. And also coming in is Taijo James. Ball was loose in the 18 for a moment. Salvo had it momentarily. Pino as it played over the line by Central Arkansas's Ferris Pedrica, the freshman from Germany, one of the holding mids for Central Arkansas. It's been an interesting year for Central Arkansas. Certainly a resurgent year after last season, as they're able to bring it toward the 18. SMU plays it away for a moment and just overrunning the ball. It'll be a throw-in for SMU after the scramble. But kind of a shocking thing happening to the Bears and their team just about a month ago, and it's been really impressive to see how they've worked through it as a team and as a family over the last month.
Yeah, that's true. Lucas Shearer is a senior midfielder for UCA, and after playing in just 3 games this year, he wasn't feeling very well, went to the doctor, and he got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He is now back home in Hawaii, going through chemotherapy. He is a senior. He's one of the leaders on this UCA team. And as Coach Kohlenstein said, everyone in Purple Bear Nation is thinking of Lucas and wishing him a full and speedy recovery. As Coach said, Lucas is a terrific soccer player, but he is a better human being. His absence is felt throughout the program. The people in the SMU soccer program, all of us at the ACC network, join the UCA family in wishing the best for Lucas, because as Coach Kohlenstein said, it's not about whether he gets back on the field this year. It's about the next 50 years, 60 years, 70 years ahead. We understand Lucas might be watching from home, and if you are, Lucas, everyone here, the players, the coaches, the fans of both programs, as well as everyone affiliated with this broadcast, we are thinking of you, we are pulling for you. Here's to a full recovery.
Steve, thanks for that. That's very well said, and we appreciate Coach Kohlenstein trusting us with that. As you see Brock Pope going down, he's not acting like he's in a terrible amount of pain, but is paying attention to that left ankle. See what happened.
Yeah, you see, all right, he gets touched, not even shoved from behind by Richards, and his feet sort of skate out from underneath him. He sort of skids on the outside of that right foot, getting a little bit of attention from athletic trainer Becky Riegel. I always say I hate it when we identify the athletic trainer for either team, because you hope they get the night off. If we identify him, it means that somebody is suffering from some discomfort, and certainly for the Mustangs, you don't like to see Brock Pope down on his back getting worked on.
But as you say, very often it's a full contact sport, and injuries are bound to happen. And this SMU team is kept in their prime by Becky Riegel and others. Kevin Hudson trying to see if Brock Pope thinks that he can stay in this match for now, or if he is going to think about coming out for the rest of the half. Pope obviously a little bit frustrated. He wasn't able to hold his feet. We're back to action. Looks like Pope is was going to try to stay in or was thinking about it, but now Bynum is ready to check in for SMU. Right now, the Mustangs are playing with 10, and on this giveaway that could have been dangerous for Richards, Bailey Sparks is fouled.
So the Mustangs are in a better position than some teams to handle a potential injury. You see Lamar Bynum coming in. Bailey Sparks had the ball, cuts back against the grain, and it got poked away by Robles. Not very hard shot on the ankle, but enough to take Sparks down. So Lamar Bynum is in and stepping in for Brock Pope. Bynum played a lot when Rubalcaba was out of the lineup, and really the Mustangs have what Kevin Hudson called 4 starting quality defenders for 3 spots.
Here's Pino, comes across, it's loose in the box, a very dangerous moment, popped into the air, and Bailey Sparks is able to keep it. Sparks trying to re-attack, and a foul is called on Sparks on the play, and UCA survives.
Sparks obviously frustrated. He did a beautiful job. You see him block the clearance and settle the ball. He's pinned down on the end line, and he is arguing that Ichikawa sort of rolled into his leg. And I don't know if the replay showed there, but he was a little bit emphatic with his displeasure with the call, where he sort of waved his hand and, let's say, disagreed with the call. But it flashes back to your point a moment ago. He's sitting on 4 yellow cards. Obviously, the Mustangs don't want him to get a 5th, and you certainly don't want him to get one for something like that.
Now, you want it to be something that's going to save a goal, especially in a meaningful game or something like that. And when I say meaningful, you know, a conference game, when you're talking about conference standings and those sort of things. And you'd rather him not pick up any yellows at all. It's something that Sparks is going to be aware of the rest of the season. He has been an excellent team leader all year, a big voice in the locker room, now as a 4th-year starter for SMU. And Sparks will get some time off the field here at the end of the half. So will Georgievich, as Richard Garcia comes into the match, and Noah Irvin comes into play right wing back.
The Mustangs have 3 regular season games left. At North Carolina State, home against Wake Forest, and then at Louisville. And there is no universe in which the Mustangs are not better prepared for those matchups without number 10 in the lineup.
I don't know if Kevin Hudson was planning at the 9-minute mark to have a moment and to sit down Bailey Sparks, or if something on the field forced that. Whatever the case, Clinton Pimentel trying to kick it to himself. He's playing a forward spot in, or rather an attacking midfield spot in this one for SMU, normally a wing back for the Mustangs. Enzo Pinozo running after this one in the corner, but he's offside. That is just going to run all night for the Mustangs.
And I'm not sure he was offside when that ball was played. It looked like he was pretty even with Elijah Bishop, the Bears' big outside back on the right side. And then when the ball was played, Pinozo spun and not only hit the Jets to run, but he sort of took a half a step inside of Bishop to gain a little bit of separation. But, hey, Pinozo didn't argue the whistle, so who are we to argue?
SMU with the 1-0 advantage, controlling play so far, but UCA just a moment away from tying this match, and here's a guy that can do it. Kajio James attracting a lot of attention as he looks to cross it on a serve, and Ruvalcaba forces the first corner kick for Central Arkansas, and here's that corner with a big north wind like you talked about.
Exactly, as soon as once it gets teed up and sent into the middle here.
Correa's going to take it. Correa, very strong. It settles down at the top of the 18, and the deflected ball goes back over the end line for another chance at a set piece for UCA.
And again, the wind just kicked back up again. Agreed, that was a really, really long corner, but it wasn't by accident. Correa had Robles waiting over there at the top corner of the box. It'll be interesting to see how much differently they approach it this time. if nothing else, there are a lot more bodies crowded in right around that 6-yard line.
This time they go to the top of the 6 and get it on the head of Devontae Richards. But Richards may have been just wide on the play and didn't get much on that header. Dominguez equal to it easily.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot on it because he had a defender leaning on him. He got to it, but he didn't have enough momentum to really drive through the ball. But that is exactly what Coach Kohlenstein said before the game the Bears were going to try to do. You've got a 6'4" target. Now that one he didn't have to jump, but he can really climb the ladder if he needs to. And Coach Kohlenstein was saying they are going to look for him on some of these set pieces. And they were very close to connecting with him there.
And SMU keeps trying to connect with Enzo Pinoza, even into the win. SMU up 1-0 on the Ruvalcaba goal, assisted by Niko Djordjevic. It's all the scoring so far tonight. SMU, another day in which they're not going to get shut out. They just keep scoring goals in consecutive games. Noah Irvin, nice ball to him. Irvin trying to make a good decision, takes the line, now reverses back, plays it back to Clanton Pimentel. He's going to feed it all the way across. He sees Bynum, but it's not going to get there. Bynum, though, stays in, takes it away, plays it out to Pino. Could be dangerous. Chambron Pino trying to drift inside. And a good job by Elijah Bishop, really to never give an inch against the crafty Chambron Pino.
Remember about 20 minutes ago we were talking about how Ichikawa doesn't take a lot of hard hits? He did on that one. Lamar Bynum stayed with the ball when he was a step late. Ichikawa got there first, but Bynum drove through the ball and then took down Ichikawa, and he felt it. He got up, tried to run it off, but you see him sitting on the ground now holding onto that right leg, right shin, I guess. You see Ichikawa got first contact, but Bynum stayed with it, played it off the Ichikawa touch, so he got to keep possessions. And Ichikawa took the worst of that collision. Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Ichikawa, the third-year starter, had 5 assists last season. He's had a career-best year. Just 2 goals and 3 assists this season. And SMU back with possession with 4.5 to play in the first half. And moving into that breeze, you see and hear it on our field mics. And you can also see the movement of the netting even behind Martin Dominguez, how it's billowing under the weight of that wind. Lamar Bynum coming in at that left back position for SMU. Salvo back to Ruvalcaba. Aggressive play up the middle, finds Mitchell, and here comes SMU with some numbers. Look at Pino on the left. Pino is there. Pino loses it behind him, tries to feed it back to Mitchell, keeps it alive. Mitchell steps over. Pino trying to cross it in front, deflected and cleared away by Ichikawa.
Really nice job by the Bears recovering when the Mustangs sent about 5 guys on a fast break. And if this pass by Mitchell is a half a step further forward, Chambron Pino might have tried a strike on the short side of the goal. As it is, he had to pause for just half a second, and that pause allowed a couple of more of the UCA defenders to get back in place and keep this a 1-goal score.
Chambron Pino coming off the brace against one of the top-ranked teams in the country, one of the best defensive teams in the nation in Stanford, and he looks motivated to make it a scoring streak. 3 minutes left in the opening half. Coming up at the half, we'll take a look at the new top 25. It was released today. Obviously, you see SMU has gone up the polls. Throw in coming for UCA. Full scoreboard around the ACC as well. Everybody stepping out of conference play on this Tuesday. You know, and some teams are playing really difficult teams. Some teams are playing teams that they feel like they should beat. But what does a team this late in the season get out or try to get out of these midweek games? especially if you're on the side of the ACC squad, the SMU squad in this case?
Well, I mean, obviously you certainly want to win, but it's a challenge in many ways because, you know, sometimes you see a non-conference team on your schedule and there's such a discrepancy in talent that you feel like maybe you can sort of sleep through it and get a victory. That's not the case against UCA. This is a good team. This is a team that can certainly challenge and threaten and cause problems for SMU if the Mustangs don't play well. So it is an opportunity to get another win, which is always important as we get toward the end of the season. And also, you know, iron some things out, whether it's you've got a little bit of a rotation on the back end with Brock Pope out and Lamar Bynum now in. They've been playing some different guys up front. Obviously, Milton Lopez got the start. Enzo Pinozo's in now. It's a little bit more mixing and matching, which typically you don't get to do late in the season because against the ACC teams, every game, every minute is so critical. That's not really time for experimentation. If you can get a lead, especially if you can get a lead of a couple of goals, you can do a little bit of in-season experimentation tonight.
SMU right now does not have that type of margin, though. 45 seconds left in the first half. Mustangs have had some chances. Just one in the goal so far from Cesar Rubalcaba. Long ball, Bynum with the header.
Right side.
But Central Arkansas able to win the secondary one. Brunet drives it in and just a little bit wide of Dominguez, who watched it the whole way and made sure not to touch it.
Yeah, really nice job by Brunet running onto this ball, and he doesn't even take a touch to settle it. He runs onto it. You saw him look up just for half a second and ripped a shot, aiming for that lower left corner. Missed it just a foot or two wide, but a really nice strike by Brunet.
Last few moments of the first half, and that's how it ends with number 10 SMU up on Central Arkansas at the half. Kevin Hudson's team looking for win number 7 of the season and to continue their undefeated play in non-conference action this year. However,
No.
What do you think that they said at the half, especially after not being able to close out a win over then number 5 Stanford last Friday?
I think part of the discussion was exactly what we just discussed here, which is I'm sure they were told to maintain your defensive structure, do not allow big gaping lanes through the back. And look, as we discussed, the Mustangs had opportunities for another goal or two in the first half. As you see, Enzo Pinozo also getting the start in the second half. And I'm sure they feel like if they can convert a second one, things may change a little bit. But they're going to pull the trigger, as Niko Djordjevic did right there.
That'll end up in a corner kick. There's a lot going on there. Enzo Pinozo with a heel kick, some good movement, and then a toe-poking drive by Nikola Djordjevic. Ends up in a corner kick for SMU. There's Pinozo getting the start in the second half. In the far corner with the wind blowing in, this is Chambral Pino on the serve. Drives it to the near post. It's headed back out for a throw by Central Arkansas's Devontae Richards.
And I may be wrong, but that quick strike by Niko Djordjevic suggests that maybe the coaching staff told the Mustangs to pull the trigger more, because Djordjevic is a guy who often will dribble through on lateral and diagonal runs, and you don't see him pull the trigger on one-timers very often.
Rubalcaba with a pretty nice throw in, and the header ends up going wide of goal. Quick restart by Central Arkansas. Try to get out of their own end. Again, moving into the wind here in this second half after Cesar Rubalcaba put SMU in front in the 6th minute of this match. Niko Djordjevic had a drive that was blocked. It fell right to Rubalcaba at the corner of the 18. He deposited his first SMU goal. That's how we're at 1-0 right now. SMU dominating this series over the years. Central Arkansas has never won here, but there's a first time for everything, and the Bears are believing in a comeback tonight. Maybe Pietro Fontana is a guy that can get them on the board. As Djordjevic sends it, or rather Berkovitz sends it forward, but it's beyond Enzo Pinozzo and backed up by Elijah Bishop to try to drive it deeper into SMU territory.
We talked in the first half about how Frank Kohlenstein referred to last year's matchup between these two teams, saying that his guys had gotten roasted defensively, and this Bears team does not look anything like that team that was here a year ago, and does not look like a team that showed up tonight thinking, oh no, this is a team that ran us off the field last year. They have gone toe-to-toe in every way with the Mustangs and acquitted themselves really nicely so far.
You may remember last year, the Bears had 35 newcomers on the roster. 35. This year, they're more established. Nice run right through the middle, and this tip ball gets all the way through. May have gone off Fontana on the drive through by Brunet, and Dominguez is able to gobble it up.
I think that's exactly right. Brunet did such a nice job dribbling through a couple of Mustangs, and I think his shot hit Fontana, or it would have been a shot on goal, and it would have arrived with more pace on it as well.
SMU's going to get a chance. Djordjevic trying to get it back from Berkovitz. Scorsia blocks it out top, but right down to Andres Robles, who turns it back to his center back, Kevin Ventura. Ventura, not the biggest center back out there at 5'9", 165 pounds, but the graduate certainly gets it done.
He is a guy that Frank Kohlenstein said is the living embodiment of the cliche. It's not the size of the fight, the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
And here's a chance for SMU. Chembro Pino gets another one and touches it over the top and comes up a little bit limp. These are the moments that the heavy-footed lefty lives for.
And you see right there, he took a collision. That might have been knee-to-knee contact with Elijah Bishop, the Bears' big outside right side back. And you're right, Chembro Pino came up hobbling just a tiny bit, but fortunately for the Mustangs, both players are up and staying in the game.
Good header forward. Robles plays it out to the right side. Stepping in, a drive low, and it is kept off the end line by Martin Dominguez. They have been going to the post or wide of it. And Dominguez puts his mitts on it with SMU leading 1-0.
I agree. From our angle, which isn't a perfect perspective, but from our angle, it looked like it may have been curling wide, but you're right. Dominguez had absolutely no choice of trusting that it would go wide. He had to eliminate that chance.
Djordjevic loves space on the wing. Right outside back, cuts to the middle instead. Out in front of him, and the clearance attempt is whisked off the head of a Bears player.
And that run by Djordjevic is exactly what I was talking about a moment ago. He loves, as you said, he loves space, but even more than racing up and down the sideline, he loves to make lateral and diagonal runs through the middle of the field. That was a very sort of a typical Djordjevic run there.
Foul by Robles. Keeps it going for SMU. Djordjevic to Escorcia. Zarnik gets it deeper, and the heel kick back to Escorcia. Joining with Berkovitz, but Escorcia turns and looks at the goal. Escorcia has it blocked back at him. Stays on the possession. Djordjevic trying to split defenders, going down. No foul given.
You see Djordjevic trying to split a couple of defenders here, and he certainly got a knee in the thigh from Correa. Correa wasn't trying to hurt him or trying to take him down, but Djordjevic didn't object to the non-call, and Correa obviously was trying to help the officials not make that call by holding his hands up to say, I didn't do anything wrong.
SMU has a chance again. Berkovitz plays it on the ground. Escorcia is able to keep it. Escorcia, the heel kick back to Berkovitz. Berkovitz trying to reach it, and it is cleared out, at least for now. Djordjevic backing it up after the clearance by Elijah Bishop. Djordjevic down to the end line. Plays it all the way across. Has it backed up, and Pino on the header. Dribbles it in toward Ramirez.
Pino was camped out on the far side, and the reason he had some space, you see the cross from Djordjevic, is Enzo Pinozzo was right in front of him and sort of tied up a defender giving Chambrón-Pino a little bit of space. He went up, tried to give it a ride, and I think the ball may have caught just a tiny bit too low, and he wasn't able to quite drill it, and it went right into Ramirez's lap.
Second save by Ramirez. Ramirez this season, the save percentage of about 800 coming in. This one all the way over the top to Enzo Pinozo, tracks it down. He's the lone man on the attack for now. Trying to come back with it. It's going to be a throw-in instead for the SMU Mustangs. But the keeper, Javier Ramirez, with 4 shutouts this season. The junior out of Spain leads the ASUN in that category.
We talked about how Frank Kohlenstein admires Kevin Ventura for his toughness and his strength and his competitiveness. He just absorbed a couple of shoulder charges from a guy who was a stud football player, the other kind of football. Those are some legitimate collisions, and Ventura didn't flinch.
Ruvalcaba drifts it in. Great opportunity. Sparks tries to put a head on it. It's deflected back and away and cleared out of trouble. SMU has had some consistent possession here in the second half. Ruvalcaba right back to Djordjevic. Djordjevic attacking the middle. Djordjevic tripped up, and a free kick is on the way for SMU. Nikola Djordjevic is hopping mad about that contact.
He came up holding his forehead.
See why?
You see the contact where he gets tripped. Ah, there it is. As he's falling, he inadvertently took a knee in the head. Correa makes the first contact. There's the trip that draws the whistle. And then as he falls, okay, I guess it wasn't the knee. It was initially
more of an elbow by Robles.
Yeah.
Now this is a spot where Kieran Chambrón-Pino has been a wizard.
The Mustangs had 2 very gifted ball strikers standing over this. Bailey Sparks and Chambrón-Pino. Make no mistake, Bailey Sparks is not taking this. Chambrón-Pino with his left foot, he scored a gorgeous goal against Stanford on a free kick from a pretty similar spot.
That one was a bit further out. Here's Pino. Wow, just misses. And that curling drive just ends up at the top of the post. I think he was thinking a little bit further out, maybe toward the back post, though, on that drive.
Right. The one he scored against Stanford had much more of a vertical hook, an up and down spin. It got up over the goalkeeper and dropped in behind him. This one, he had sort of a sidewinding approach to it, so the ball had more of a sideways spin. He got it up high. Obviously, would love to have another crack at it. But he's such a gifted ball striker. Kevin Hudson said early in the season that, you know, he can put it through a keyhole at times when he wants to.
Ramirez punches it out to midfield. But SMU has controlled play in the second half. They had an estimated 60% possession in the first half. That's an unofficial number. Shows some control in favor of SMU. Lead 1-0 on the Cesar Ruvalcaba goal. Deep ball here to make UCA make a decision, but it's going to roll over the end line.
And I think normally with a wind coming out of the north like this, Ramirez might have tried to either play the ball or swing it out to Correa, but Neve Berkovitz was lurking in a pretty dangerous spot there. So now you set up a goal kick, which if you have this kind of a wind at your back is one thing, is something entirely different. I mean, he's got a strong leg. He still gets it beyond midfield, which is impressive.
A pretty good strike, but it does hold up, and SMU gets the second touch out of it. Berkovitz back to Djordjevic, deeper. Escorcia scampering after it and able to keep it off the line. Escorcia centers it inside past the head of Sparks, and it's cleared away by UCA, but only to the top of the 18 until now.
I'd love to know whether Escorcia was looking for Sparks or looking for Neve Berkovitz behind him. The ball was basically on track for either one of them, and Sparks redirected it, but not on cage.
Pino throwing on the brakes, and now into fifth gear, driving it across, and Enzo Pinozzo's right foot is not quite there.
It's a beautiful cross by Shomron Pino, and Enzo Pinozzo probably a step late. And for someone who's been playing a larger role in recent games up front, he would love another crack at that.
Big takeaway for SMU and a rebound as well, but nobody was home as Niko Djordjevic gets a solid shot on goal against Ramirez.
Yeah, Djordjevic so often will go threading through an opposing defense and then find a teammate with an open pass. He's had a couple of takes here in the second half, and Shomron Pino a step late for that rebound left by Ramirez.
Remember, Djordjevic in his career, as you say, he's normally an assist guy. Had his 10th assist of his career earlier on tonight. He only has one goal in his career that came back in 2022, despite being such an offensively minded player.
He's sort of the point guard on a lot of the fast breaks that SMU does. And, you know, that may not get you lots of headlines, but believe me, your teammates who are the recipient of those passes love playing with guys like Niko Djordjevic.
How about Lamar Bynum with an offensive thought? Bynum gets it back from Pino. Bynum redirected, and a corner is on the way. Good job to meet it by Ramirez on a brilliant 1-2 between the left outside back and the left back for SMU.
Nice run by Bynum, splits a couple of defenders, and then just never slows down, stays right on it, blasts a shot that hits Ramirez in the chest, and ends up getting a corner kick for the Ponies. Honestly, Central Arkansas lucky that that rebound didn't go back on net. That could have theoretically ended up with a very dangerous chance in front of the goal.
Shomron Pino just too strong to the back post. The Mustangs unable to run it down.
I don't know, maybe Bynum's a little jealous of Ruvalcaba being on the scoreboard and said, if you can do it, so can I. Watch this.
Well, Bynum, he's been threatening when on the field lately and trying to join the attack from that left back position, one of the three central backs for SMU. SMU gets another takeaway in the final third. Salvo plays it across, knocked down by Djordjevic. Tries to get onto his left foot. Djordjevic off the crossbar, header. Ruvalcaba nearly had his second. Or rather, that was Pinozzo, my apologies, who would have been his first, and the Mustangs that close to getting back on the board.
Djordjevic cannot believe he didn't score. He crosses up a defender, splits a second defender, and then cracks a shot.
Ooh,
Ramirez
so
did get a hand on it, only a little bit. He didn't change the direction much, but just enough to knock it to the crossbar. And he is in disbelief that he doesn't have a goal.
Remember, SMU had a similar ball go off the crossbar and down, and eventually get ruled a goal on replay against Stanford. That was Pino's second goal. And on this corner, it's going to be Bailey Sparks taking it. And so SMU will change their tactic a little bit here and give the righty a chance at an in-swinger with the wind blowing in.
And you've got about 16 players jammed in front of the goal. I'm going to double down on my speculation that we had coming out of halftime, that the coaches told the Mustangs to shoot more and quickly. If either that or they pulled Niko Djordjevic aside and told him alone to shoot more, because that's 3 already in the second half.
Bailey Sparks, good air under this ball. It's popped to the backside. Salvo drives it off the crossbar again and deflected away.
Ramirez is a little bit under siege right now, but holding up beautifully. But he's got to be hoping that his back line is going to start holding the Mustangs at further distance if they're going to keep shooting, because he's absorbing some shots from pretty close range.
8 shots in the second half for SMU. Now Sparks from distance and just whisks it wide of that upper 90 far post.
Yeah, Sparks with a couple of touches, and then he's pulling the trigger here from, what, 35 yards out? And again, as we said in the first half, you can talk about his technical skill and everything that he does. He can really, really give the ball a ride. He had one turned away in the first half, and then that one just drifted a little bit high and wide. But there is no doubt the Mustangs had 3 shots in the first half and have 9 in the first 18 minutes of the second half.
Looking like a dangerous and hungry team as Djordjevic surges into the air, and he's called for a foul. So a chance to restart for Central Arkansas in a rare moment where the Bears' attack, as you said, is not going to be under siege. Deep drive, Djordjevic heads it out, but the second ball won by Central Arkansas. Djordjevic plays it along, right back to UCA again. Bailey Sparks is able to poke it out of the feet of Robles and start something the other way for SMU. And that's why Sparks is regarded so highly as a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah, Sparks and Danny Accorsia both were chugging upfield with the ball on their foot with defenders closing in, and both of them made passes to teammates at more than a 90-degree angle. It's almost like they had eyes in the back of their head. And there is an absolute art form to that. Yes, there's talent involved, but also there's a measure of awareness and the ability to turn at those tight angles.
And Pino is in thanks to the wall pass from Escorcia. He gets taken out by 2, but once again, the teamwork by SMU and the deft passing continues to be a factor. Although this is overrun and nearly getting away from Zarnik was Richards, but Zarnik with that long left foot is able to touch it back to his keeper. Really well done. And then this is kept in by Berkovitz, off to Pinozo. And that's saved from being a shot on goal thanks to a good defensive play by Correa.
I thought with the wind that Dominguez's clearance was going to sail well into the bench. It was nice hustle by Berkovitz.
Foul again in the final third as Berkovitz goes down this time. The Bears just having trouble keeping up with SMU at this point. Thankfully for them, Javier Ramirez has been standing up as Berkovitz pays attention to that left ankle.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything intentional, simply 2 guys reaching for the ball. But yeah, you can see clearly there that Berkovitz took a cleat in the outside of his left foot, left ankle. Very talented player, also very tough player. And fortunately for the Mustangs, number 8's able to stay in the lineup.
Racing onto the field, Pietro Fontana. Here's another great chance at a free kick. This time it's Bailey Sparks playing it along the ground. It ricochets right back to him. Plays it in with the left foot this time, and again, he's denied. Good job by the Bears to stand up, and now here's a great ball to Fontana. Fontana, Djordjevic chasing him down from behind with the shoulder charge and the win. Djordjevic on his horse to track down Fontana, the goal scorer.
Exactly. The first thing that was impressive was the speed that Djordjevic showed to track him down. And then secondly, the confidence to lean into that shoulder charge well into the penalty box and not get whistled for any kind of a foul. He kept his arm down, he kept his shoulder down. They bumped shoulders.
Oh, that was a tough one right there. Man, really going for goal was Jackson Hines here.
Yeah, and Hines, I guess, was shooting, although he had a teammate cruising into the box, and it looked like, excuse me, like Martin Dominguez may have been caught a little off guard as that ball got up into the wind and carried.
Yeah, remember the wind's blowing into it, and so that's going to make it rise. So Hines nearly got an excuse me goal there that would have been a equalizer here in Dallas. The Bears have certainly seen SMU control play in the second half, but it doesn't matter if Central Arkansas puts one on the board to tie up this game.
But think about what a lift that could be. Obviously, if you're the Bears, your only focus right now is getting that equalizer. But to do so when the vast majority of the second half has been played in front of your own goal, what an enormous lift that could be to withstand the siege of SMU and then bounce back. I think it's got to give them a bit of a lift going forward.
And they're starting to get a few more opportunities. Robles plays it back for Brunet. Brunet deeper into the corner, serves it across into the wind. It gets down, gets through, and just wide. Well wide for Fontana, but he knows he had a grand opportunity.
He's a little bit disappointed. I'm a little surprised that he and maybe he and Richards didn't lobby for a corner kick, because I wasn't sure that didn't deflect off an SMU defender. But Fontana was surrounded by 3 defenders and was just trying to pull the trigger as quickly as he could. Obviously had to corkscrew a little bit more of a rotation to get that on frame. And that is one that he will be thinking of if this game ends in a 1-goal margin.
No doubt about it. And SMU seemingly has 4 or 5 that they would be thinking about if this match were to end in a tie. Good job to settle it by Escorcia, and Sparks finds Djordjevic. Djordjevic, who chased down Fontana on a good defensive play. Escorcia out wide. Djordjevic looking to operate. Gives Escorcia some room. SMU, very good team with the ball at their feet. And everybody getting a touch on this possession.
Frank Kohlenstein talked about how Kevin Hudson coached teams play with possession, and they can stretch you all over the field and they can make you chase. And they're very frustrating to play against because, as you said, they prioritize possession over everything.
Djordjevic is called for the foul here. Let's watch this. What do you see, Steve? Well,
oh, that's what you saw. Okay, from our angle, which is the reverse of what's on the screen now, we're basically up those bleachers on the left. All we saw was him. Here's the angle we see, right? He's trying to get around the defender. But when we had the reverse angle from that camera just beyond the end line, you could see that he got his arms wrapped around the waist. And yes, it was a correct call.
Absolutely. And now Hines and Djordjevic continue to go back and forth. Hines evidently steps on Djordjevic. And we also have a card issued to Jackson Hines here. Evidently none too pleased that Djordjevic on the other end grabbed him in a hug from behind.
Djordjevic went down, and we could hear his reaction from the top of the bleachers, and while we have headsets on, it looked almost like Djordjevic may have rolled his, okay, I thought he rolled his right ankle just a tiny bit, and he comes up holding his left ankle, so scratch that.
A little over 20 minutes left now. So Hines given a card. It's the first booking of the night for either team. Djordjevic with the thumbs up. Right outside back for SMU. It's proven to be a dangerous threat again with an assist on the goal by Ruvalcaba. And then 2 shots as well in this match. It's going to stay in. Shots are 12-8 in favor of SMU, 7-2 in shots on goal. Long ball for Enzo Pinozo. Pinozo able to track it down and force Hines into another corner kick here, or rather the one that knocked it across was Kevin Ventura, and SMU will get another chance at a corner. This is their 4th of the second half, 5th of the game.
And you see Kieran Chambrapino and Bailey Sparks both looking over to the bench, asking the coaching staff, who do you want to take this? They're both elite ball strikers, but just like Sparks took the other one a moment ago from the southeast corner of the field, Chambrapino will take this one because, again, as a left-footed server, he might be able to play the wind on this curl.
Flag really bending down Chambron Pino. Oh, he was looking for the Olympico, and it goes off of the crossbar again, and should be another corner as Zarnik deflected it off of a UCA player.
That absolutely was going in the net if not for Ramirez. Beautiful low line drive, heavy spin, and again we've got a wind coming out of the north. Great take by Chambron Pino, and then nice job by Lamar Bynum just gently knocking it into the middle to give Zarnik a chance.
Bailey Sparks has the opportunity from the other side. Sparks feeds it in. Near post this time. Knocked into the air, but Salvo backs it up. Salvo tries to pop it across, and this is a throw-in for SMU instead as the pressure stays on for the Mustangs.
Salvo with the cross here. Really nice job with the deflection, not only to erase that offensive threat for SMU, but also to not surrender a corner kick.
Throw by Rubalcaba. He's got a goal in this one. Good win by Zarnik. Pops it across, and then with the ball in mid-air, Berkovitz unable to find the angle. Another shot goes long for SMU, and quickly it's played up the field to try to get the advantage for Central Arkansas. Richards retains it. Richards dribbles it in weakly on the keeper Dominguez.
I think if you're SMU and you see Devontae Richards teeing up a shot from 35, 40 yards out, that's the kind of shot you'd like him to take, because he can be deadly up front. But he has a cannon of a left foot, and he can strike from distance and with some accuracy. Ideally, you'd rather not see him shoot at all if you're SMU. And clearly he was trying to catch Dominguez sleeping from distance. Unable to do so, at least this time.
Number 10 SMU Mustangs holding on to this 1-0 lead over a spirited ASUN squad in Central Arkansas. Looking for a little bit of insurance. 17 minutes left in the match. Frank Kohlenstein's team has stayed together, stayed connected, and although they have given up some chances, the expected goals certainly have to be in SMU's favor on a night like tonight, but scores just 1-0. Bynum plays it along to Chambron Pino, and a little bit out in front of Berkovitz. SMU will try to keep possession, however, with under 17 minutes left to go. Good look to Pino coming up the field, and Pino gets knocked down. There's maybe another card. Yes, it is. A card against Central Arkansas as Pino goes down hard on the far flank. Probably a foul that Central Arkansas had to take, but it also means a card on Elijah Bishop.
Yeah, you see Chambron Pino got to the ball first, punched it forward, and while he's in sort of a defenseless position in midair, yeah, I mean, look, there's no intent to hurt or anything like that. Nobody's trying to cause an injury, but you're absolutely right. The Bears had to take that foul, because if not, you're letting an extremely dangerous player go cruising in unmarked into the box, and you simply can't allow that. Ramirez has been wonderful tonight, but that would be asking an awful lot of him to either stop a shot by Chambron Pino or prevent one of his teammates from finding it.
Oh, the dangerous Bailey Sparks in a corner is on the way. And I wonder if Javier Ramirez, who also saw Lamar Bynum tracking in front of him, thought, man, I better put a hand on this, even though it's going wide, to make sure Bynum doesn't have any kind of shot to beat me back post.
That's one of the difficult things goalies have to deal with, right? I mean, obviously your first job is to keep the ball out of the net behind you. But when you see the opposing colors running around on different sides, you have to try to determine, okay, who's over there? How far away is he? What angle is he taking? Is he within? Is he the kind of player who can score? And you're right, Ramirez had to do that.
Pino strikes it right into the box and all the way through, and evidently last touched by an SMU player, maybe even Owen Zarnik.
I think that might have gone through untouched. That might have been Pino, who touched it last, but that low serve went through about 10 players, and Enzo Pinozzo was standing by the back post and looked up as if to say, how did I not score on that?
Stays in possession for UCA, down by just a goal, and out wide to Jackson Hines. Who's going to strike it for the Bears? It's knocked away by Djordjevic. Back into possession for Berkovitz. He finds the steady Bailey Sparks, but it's kept in by Bishop on the header, and Bishop is going to join the action along the right side flank. Dumps it down for Robles, blocked by Sparks, but keeping it alive, Brune. Bears keep the attacking pressure on. This one falls all the way through to Dominguez, though. Under 15 minutes left to play, and Dominguez forces Richards to come in and challenge to avoid Dominguez burning more time off the clock. Dominguez has the wind behind him on this punt. See how it sails over Djordjevic, but Pinozzo has gone the whole way in the second half at the striker spot. Wins that one right off of Correa. And a throw in coming for SMU. Not going to bring Rubalcaba down from this spot. Try to play it into possession. And Djordjevic looking deep. Slips it down to Danny Escorcia. Escorcia toying with it. Pulling it back and forth on a string. And another throw in for SMU. This one may be Rubalcaba's. No, it will not. On Escorcia to keep doing some work, and another foul coming. In a good free kick position. SMU will be able to give the ball to Kieran Pino to try to put one toward the net.
Nice job by Djordjevic and Escorcia on the side over near the touchline, burning off some clock by basically dancing around with the ball right near the boundary. But with 13 minutes left, that's an awfully long time to start stalling.
This is a little closer to the spot that Pino scored from the other day. He may have had a little bit more open mouth of goal to work with. Pino is certainly capable. He's trying to visualize that moment from last Friday as he approaches. Pino drives it in, and it's off the crossbar once more. Pino that close to another beauty.
All right, so how do you look at that? Does that get to the goal because of the wind helping his curl, or does it carry too far because of the wind? Maybe with no wind, that sneaks into that upper left corner. It feels like he and Djordjevic could probably have a couple goals each in this game. And Ramirez has been terrific, and there's been a little luck involved, and they have to be sort of scratching their heads about opportunities missed so far.
So here's an opportunity for Brune, crossing it in, and it's sharply over the end line by Rubalcaba, and a corner coming up for the Bears. Maybe Richards will be the target.
And as much as we've talked about how the Mustangs have really been unloading on the UCA goal in the second half, here we are with 11.5 minutes left, and we are one shot away from making this equal.
Is this that shot as it somehow sneaks through? James was on it for a moment, but Escorcia able to hunt it down. And he's attacked by 3, and will get a throw in for SMU out of it.
He's attacked by 3, and the reason SMU gets this throw in is because Escorcia tried to send the ball upfield, and he completely missed the ball entirely. I'm wondering if he missed intentionally. Because he doesn't miss many things he tries.
That's a great point. This one popped over the top in direction of Richards, but you could see the wind held it up just a little bit for Rubalcaba's advantage. UCA able to keep it, however. Down by a goal in Dallas. 10.5 left. Especially considering SMU scored in the 6th minute of this match. The Bears like that it's even since then. And here's a chance. Shift in to the 6, and a good save by Dominguez, and then cleared away by SMU. The Bears had their best chance to even this match. Now Pinozo back the other way for SMU on the counter. Enzo Pinozo into the 18. Pinozo tripped up, and no foul given, but the Bears that close to tying it up, and Dominguez has to make his best save of the night.
May be his best save of the year. That was extraordinary. That ball, again, carried a little bit. We'll get another look at it here. Crossed into the middle, completely stretched out, and there's Ruvalcaba with the back save after it goes off the hand of Martin Dominguez. So Ruvalcaba has the game's only goal, and he also has a save that prevents the equalizing goal.
Tajio James with the excellent opportunity. Had a game-winning goal against ORU, a goal versus Tulsa as well. So he's had big goals at big times. Meanwhile, on the other end, 100 yards the other way, Javier Ramirez needs a little hydration and to work out an apparent cramp.
You know, we sometimes think of cramping as an issue in late August into September when it's 100 degrees and everybody's melting. He has been working relentlessly all night. Ramirez has been absolutely fantastic for the Bears, and I don't think the temperature matters so much. He has gotten more than enough work tonight, and he has been brilliant for UCA.
The SMU Mustangs' next match is coming up at 6 o'clock Eastern time on ACC Network Extra on Saturday, as SMU makes the trip to North Carolina to play the Wolfpack, number 23 team in the nation. It'll be a top 25 matchup. 6 o'clock Eastern time. A chance to see two great ACC teams that are battling it out for positioning in the standings. Third to last match of the season. So all the scoring in this one. Cesar Ruvalcaba with the 6th minute goal. Following up a rebound off of Djordjevic, and SMU has been at that 1-0 advantage ever since. Martin Dominguez able to keep it that way with that last save of a brilliant opportunity by Tajio James. SMU has talked a lot about being able to close out matches this season. They haven't always been able to hold up those matches to pick up wins. There are a couple to think of, and especially that Stanford game that looms so large last Friday. They picked up a 2-2 draw, but could not come out with the full 3 points. Zarnik up to Escorcia. Escorcia feeds it out to Djordjevic. Another chance. Across. Pinozo. Heavy first touch. He's still on it. Pinozo dumps it back, and Pino has it drift wide for a corner kick.
This has got to be a one-timer for Pinozo, and I know that's really easy for those of us sitting up in the press box to say, because he's running 100 miles an hour. He's got 2 defenders closing in on him, and he's basically running onto a ball that's coming from behind him and gets underneath. It's very, very difficult, but if he one-times that ball, he has a shot on goal. Whether it goes in, who knows? We'll never know.
Remember, a guy that has started his career as a defender at SMU, now playing up front. Looking for production. Sparks to the back post, a little bit too much with that wind blowing in. It carries it over the crossbar with 8 minutes to go. But Pinozo is just a guy that is going to give you everything he's got every moment he's on the field, and he's getting a lot of playing time for the SMU Mustangs and learning a lot in the process.
I think the SMU coaches have to be thrilled with what they've seen from him. You know, he's growing into this role, and to your point, he is a relentless worker, and he's given them that tonight.
Sparks has some space. Gets it out wide. One touch into Pinozo. Turns, shoots, and it's wide. There's a faster touch. A corner kick coming up. Pinozo being a little bit more deliberate with this attack.
Yeah, and a really nice turn. He knows he's got a defender behind him. He can feel him on his back. Takes just one touch to settle it. Turns, gets the shot away. Yes, it got deflected. But anytime you can tee up Kieran Chambron-Pino for a corner, that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, last time from this spot, he hit the crossbar. He's hit the crossbar a couple times.
And he had another one that looked like it was going in on the fly.
What about this one? This one's a line drive to the near post. And yet again, a corner for Chambron-Pino, trying to surprise everybody by going short side.
I think it was Brunet who got ahead on that.
I agree.
Come on.
Pino, one more chance from the corner. Pops it to the backside this time. And Pinozo unable to catch up with it after it drips over to the end line with 6 minutes left. And before long kick up the field. Now they'll make him do it again. Ball may have moved over that 6-yard marker. 6 minutes for the Bears to try to find the equalizer in Dallas. They're certainly capable, but is SMU's defense going to be too much today? SMU has 4 shutouts on the season. 2 of them belong to Martin Dominguez. Correa. Back for Petricka. Slots it across. And Bishop, pressured up front by Bailey Sparks, has to dump it back to Ramirez. Remember the Bears moving into the wind in the second half. This line drive feed, the header on to James. James in the box on his right foot, plays it across. Zarnik stops it and does a great job to control it out to Chambron-Pino.
Really nice play by Zarnik, because as you say, half the job is stopping it, but he could have let his momentum carry him several yards away from the ball, in which case you're leaving a big, juicy rebound for one of your opponents. But Zarnik did a terrific job, not only stopping the ball, but then digging his heels in, keeping his position, and clearing it out.
SMU now trying to think about playing it deep with 4 minutes left in the 1-goal advantage. Central Arkansas have a moment of magic. Maybe this is it by Bishop. Deflected ball comes in. It's flicked toward the net by Fuchima, and just did not get enough of a tap to change the direction. However, laying out, Correa comes up with it. Correa plays it all the way across. Slotted back for James. One touch too many, and knocked out of there by Bynum.
Really nice recovery by Brunet as Danny Escorcia was racing out of the box for SMU, and had he been able to toe poke that ball through, he had miles of open space to make a run into the offensive third, whether he got a shot or not. At that point, it's about geography and the seconds clicking off the clock.
Now a corner for the Bears, and these are always so dangerous. A chance for Martin Dominguez to organize his back line and his defense in front of him, with his team clinging to the 1-goal advantage. Ferris Petricka, freshman from Germany, will strike it. Petricka with the wind blowing out, the line drive to the near post. And again, that is off the body of SMU players for another corner.
Yeah, there were about 5 of them there, so it's anybody's guess who hit it last.
Backside, watch.
Play the ball. Make sure you're looking at the ball. Play the ball.
Petricka again at near post. Ricocheted right back at him, but Petricka saves it from going out. strikes it toward the back post this time, headed by Bynum. Ruvalcaba gets a second touch, but the third touch is nearly punched into the net by Devontae Richards, who settled it into the air and then struck it for his best chance of the night.
Ruvalcaba has the goal, he has the back save, and then he had to just pick his goalie up off the ground because Martin Dominguez went up to try to make sure that bicycle by Richards didn't end up in the net, and you could see just a giant breath of air let out by the Mustangs goalkeeper lying on the ground.
What a tremendous effort by Devontae Richards. Minute 40 left. SMU doesn't have to worry about scoring. Just about keeping it away from the goal that Martin Dominguez is in. Now Ramirez will surge up the field. Minute and a half left. This one gets through, but on the backside, Ruvalcaba is there. He's played a marvelous game on both ends, but it's set back in deep. James turns, shoots, saved by Dominguez. A lunging dive to keep it an SMU lead. And a throw-in coming for the Mustangs after Dominguez saves the game.
Dominguez gets a congratulatory thanks from Ruvalcaba. And we've talked about Ruvalcaba and others all night, but Dominguez has been brilliant. He's had at least 3 absolutely fantastic saves to keep this a scoreless game for UCA.
Oh, James really gave that a ride. Is this onside or not? It is for Richards with 37 seconds left. The Bears still have a shot. James is dangerous. James dumps it back. The chip over. Headed out by Ruvalcaba again with 30 seconds left. How valuable is the center back? And it gets away. Fontana chips it over the top and over the crossbar as well. And that may do it with 15 seconds left in Dallas.
What a game performance tonight by the Bears of Central Arkansas, who came back to the same field where they got blown out last year and gave the Mustangs, the 10th ranked team in the country, everything they wanted. And the Mustangs getting the